Do you understand what you're learning? Assimilate is defined as the process of taking something fully in. To assimilate information means to truly learn something. There's a group who consumes a lot of information, but their behaviors don't match. Why is that? It can be due to a lack of experiences and/or dwelling. Experiences are self-explanatory. You need to eventually get to a point when you're taking the effort to apply the information. Dwelling is something that can be a bit more confusing. So let's make sure we're on the same page. Dwelling is a word with a negative connotation to it. That's because we're using our personal memory in correlation to this word. When we think of dwelling, we think of replaying a mistake from our past. On the other hand, a lot of super learners view dwelling as drying the cement. The act of dwelling isn't bad. What you're dwelling on will determine if you have a good or bad experience. I used to know this kid in my engineering class who never took notes, yet he would score super high grades on each exam. I, on the other hand, had a whole bunch of notes, but nothing but C's to show for it. What gives? Well, this guy told me that notes would distract him from his mind and the professor. Why introduce a barrier? His strategy was completely different. He would read the lecture the night before. Then, during the lecture on class day, he would just make a few mental notes when his body felt something that the teacher said. The points that his body felt were the points he deemed worth dwelling over. And that he did. When I asked him what he meant by dwelling, he made it sound so simple. I pretty much do as little as I possibly can with the information. He was trying to imply that dwelling in his world is different than introspecting. Introspecting requires work, like you're going through Google scouring for the right answer for something. Dwelling is more passive. You found a great movie. Now you're just sitting back and watching. Doing too much will distract you from the movie. For dwelling, he would just say that he wants his mind to go over this point a few times and reflect on that point. The more he would reflect on that point, the more he would turn the wet cement of the information into concrete, assimilating the information. It's like cooking. When you just toss unseasoned chicken into the oven, it tastes like crap. If you marinate the chicken for 10 seconds and throw it in the oven, it still tastes a bit weird. But if you marinate the chicken and let it rest for a few hours, then throw it in the oven, it ends up tasting great. That's because you gave the chicken time to absorb the flavor. This is how it works with information, too. The thing with our mind is that it naturally dwells, normally inclined towards negative thoughts. Reprogramming the mind to dwell on something productive requires constant repetition. I had all the notes in the world during school, but I never assimilated it. I thought writing a bunch of junk on a piece of paper meant that I was getting smarter, while I was just collecting junk. This friend of mine learned like this. 1. Get a holistic idea of the subject, reading the class lecture the night before. 2. Zone in on the crucial points, allowing his feelings to signal to him which points stuck out in context to his prior day reading. 3. Assimilate the idea through a blend of experience and dwelling. Dwelling should feel effortless. Go for relaxation. The more relaxed you are, the more the subconscious mind starts to absorb the information. The best tip is to start off the movement cycle. Keep getting the experience. Dwelling at this point is not making sense. But once you get the momentum rolling, you'll notice dwelling on the information naturally happens. Keep repeating the information. Dwelling on your free time makes it easier to assimilate the information. This compounds the knowledge for the future, which amplifies judgment. At this point, memorizing is no longer viewed as learning. Instead, memorizing is just one chapter of the whole learning book.